actually going to work.
Yes.
We're not on yet. Hi. Okay, we're going to be doing things backwards today. We were not able to get on Facebook Live, so we're streaming on YouTube, and I'm going to take just a second here and share it on Facebook. Okay. Hopefully that was right. Okay, so we're really sorry that we're so late. For anybody who ever has this happen, it kept saying that we were on the wrong browser, didn't support it, but it's the same browser that we always use. So we tried a different browser and it said the same thing. So we gave up finally, and we're, like I said, we're streaming on YouTube, and hopefully if we're not live on Facebook, we'll make sure that this gets live when we're done. So,
yes, this is a reading of our book, In Spite of Us, a love story about second chances. We were supposed to have a reading at Inklings yesterday. Evidently that didn't happen. Hopefully it will.
Okay, and before you start, sweetie, I was going to talk a little bit about Mother's Day, remember? Okay, so I hope all of you had a great Mother's Day. I did. It started off with my son and daughter-in-law FaceTiming me, which they know I like. They don't like it when I FaceTime them, and they don't understand that I just like to see their faces. So that was a special treat for me to get to see their faces. And then my daughter came over and spent the whole afternoon with me, and we just visited, and I can't tell you what that contact meant to me to catch up with her. So I hope your Mother's Day was as special as mine, because I really enjoyed mine. Okay.
And we're going to be reading chapters 7 and 8 in our book, In Spite of Us, a love story about second chances. And I also wanted to, we have a winner from our drawing last 2 weeks for a copy of this book, Chicken Soup for the Soul, 101 Feel-Good Stories. Laughter is the best medicine. And my favorite author, Deb, has a story published in this book. We will announce that winner at the end of our reading tonight. Okay, and eligible to be eligible for the next drawing for another one in another 2 weeks, you need to like and share on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll take your name from there, and you'll be in the next drawing.
Okay, and you need to share it, but you don't have to do it while we're live. Doing it later is fine.
Yeah,
it still helps us out.
Okay, and now I'm going to read one of the reviews of our book, In Spite of Us. This is an Amazon review that was written by Walter. How God's Power Transforms. This book is an excellent example of how God enters a person's life. Here, Deb and Sandy share a personal story of spiritual love where God united them together and transforms their lives. It's packed with hope, faith, and love. In Spite of Us reels you in with honesty and integrity. This is written in a beautiful way and captures your imagination. Contained within its pages are great examples of trusting God. Don't take my word, but read it and spread its news.
Okay, are we ready for me?
I'm ready for Deb to talk a little bit about chapter 7 and read it.
Okay, so chapter 7 covers a lot of stuff. First, I'm happy to say I'm free of the sick relationship that I'm addicted to. I won't tell you yet if I'm successful at this because I don't want to spoil the rest of the book for you. But thank God for this chapter, I can say I'm out of it. So that feels a lot better. Also in this chapter, you're going to meet my brother, Danny, who I have a hard time talking about without choking up a little bit. I was 5 years old when Danny came into my world, with me being the third and last ditch attempt to have a boy. I was sort of left to feel like I entered this world as a disappointment. And Danny was a much loved surprise package. He had red curly hair and lived his entire life from one prank to another. I'm speaking of him in past tense because he's no longer with us. Like me, Danny had problems with alcohol and drug addictions, and like me, he had a hard time believing he had a problem. So, my brother was a source of joy and a holy terror as well for me. We loved each other, and we had a special relationship, but a lot of it was partying. Danny was my party buddy, and we would party hardy and drink hard together. And it would always start out fun, didn't always end up fun, because it's a bad combination. Also in this chapter, last week you got Sandy's version of our blind date. So this week covers my version, an accurate version of the blind date. Okay. So I really encourage you to go back and listen to chapter 5 and 6, especially 6 if you want to hear his version of our blind date. Okay. So here we go. Chapter 7, like wearing a black leather jacket with footed pajamas. Some people claim you can't hate an inanimate object. They've never owned a 1976 Cordoba. It's known for a lean burn engine with a sick carburetor problem, causing it to choke and die, usually mid-intersection. I know this because the Cordoba has a faithful motorhead following. Just open the hood, high heel in hand, giving your best bubble-headed girl pose. They'll screech to a stop and race to rescue the esteemed car. The fix takes 5 minutes. If you want to skip the carburetor tail, you'd best shoot them a beauty queen wave and step on the gas. In the era of I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar, it wasn't my finest moment, but my children preferred the dumb blonde impression over the angry horns honking for us to move out of the way. Today marks the final battle with the Cordoba. Maintaining its evil character to the end, it spat green, bile-like liquid at me while guzzling gallons of water bottled for its premeditated demise. The 2-hour, 20-mile trek ended with a vile hiss from its engine, defeated and delivered to its final resting place, the wrecking yard. Take that! Ha 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 ha! I laugh, walking away, ignoring the stares from the junkyard workers. Danny, my brother, used car dealer, pulls up beside me in the getaway car, stirring up a cloud of dust. Ah, the evil laugh. You're scary, he says. Let's celebrate. We've never needed much reason to party, but this is legit. The wicked witch with the insatiable gas tank is dead. I'm now the proud owner of a 1982 Dodge Colt. With $10, I can fill the gas tank and travel the yellow brick road across the state. Besides, another party-worthy accomplishment beckons. Danny's graduation from another 6-week outpatient treatment center for alcoholism. Like me, He's not an alcoholic, just unlucky, getting caught with one too many DWIs.
Yeah.
Our plan's simple and safe. A four-drink quota with a midnight curfew and no arrests. You'd think the bickering and matching red hair would peg us as siblings. But when we're out together, people think we're a couple. I hate that. Add booze to my gawky little brother, he morphs into dad, slurring charmless sex talk at the helpless cocktail waitresses. Still, the night's not without its rewards, like uncontrolled laughter, raw, true confessions, and proclamations of sibling loyalty. As usual, the party gods ignored our plans, leaving us to close the bar, staggering home in the morning light. But we didn't get arrested. I drove home, I think. I must have, because I'd never have let him drive with his DWI problem. I hate mornings after, visiting with uninvited guests like remorse. I remember the Pastime Tavern in Sela, the savage dancing, everyone's watching and clapping. I also remember falling into the drums, everyone's watching, no clapping. It's a good day to clean up the garage, go to the dump and the recycling center. A clean, organized home makes me feel normal. Crazies live in messy houses. Tonight's the blind date with the non-drinking, purist, God-barking friend of Paula. I'd rather go on a drinking date with a blind pagan. She waited like a perched tiger until I agreed to this ridiculous date. I never should have told her about my weak moment of pitiful prayer. God, if you're real, send me someone who can love me like I can love them. A lame prayer, considering I don't believe in God. It was a just in case I'm wrong prayer. As I load my Colt with bags of Smash Miller and Dr. Pepper cans, that sense of being watched returns. I shake it off as leftover crud from the days when Wayne and I took turns stalking each other. Those days are finally over. The car reeks of beer, so I pick up an air freshener on the drive home. I wouldn't want Sandy to get the wrong impression. By evening, I'm sick of arguing with myself. Why should I bother trying to look nice? It's a one-time deal. Why not have a couple of beers before? I'm not an alcoholic. They are. Cursing and sober, I drive to Natchez. I've no excuse for being a little late, and I don't care. I never should have agreed to this peekaboo blind date facade. A motorcycle is in Paula's driveway, probably Sandy's. I do like his bad boy biker aura, but add God and sober to the picture, and it's like wearing a black leather jacket with footed pajamas. Paula meets me at the door, pulling me through the clumsy introductions. Jim and Sandy go back to talking AA and motorcycles while she gives me a tour through her ever-changing artistic home. We're comrades with a common quirk, redecorating our homes more often than most people vacuum. I relax, inspired by her latest changes. When we return to the dining room, Sandy and Jim are carrying a heavy, round glass through the front door. Just tuck it behind the chair over there, says Paula. It's for my oak dining table I had refinished. We'll have to remember to be careful because it sticks out. Seated at the table, we eat barbecued burgers with a side of forced conversation and a crisp green salad. Tired of one-word responses from myself and Sandy, they talk amongst themselves. I dab at some drip mustard on my white pants with my napkin, thinking of what to say to Sandy. He has this tortured look on his face and can't seem to hold still. I wonder if he's back at the bottle. Finally, he speaks.
Cats. I have terrible nightmares with cats scratching my eyes out.
Let me help clear the plates, I say to Paula, motioning for her to follow me to the kitchen. What's wrong? She asks. He's mad. A crazy lunatic babbling about cats. I'm done. I'm sorry, Paula, but this will never work. Shushing me, she shakes her head like I'm the wacko, grabs my arm and drags me back to the table. Seconds later, Sandy jerks, throwing his head back as if tapped on the shoulder at a seance. Excusing myself, I leave the table, walking toward the bath with plans to grab my purse, chatter an excuse, and race out the front door. Suddenly, there's a crash like a semi-truck driving through their picture window, shaking my memory to be careful of the glass sticking out from behind the chair. But it's too late. When twirling around like Dorothy in Oz doesn't make it go away, I pick up glass shards as if I put it back together, as if I can put it back together. The hosts are in shock, while Sandy appears to have enjoyed the show. After we clean up the mess, I can hardly refuse Paula's pleas to finish this date from hell. I agree to a motorcycle ride. Sliding on behind him, I realize I know nothing about proper biker etiquette. Where do I hold on? I place my hands on his wide shelf-like shoulders, but the first acceleration sends my arms flailing like a mad flagman. With reckless regard for manners, I grab him around his waist and squeeze. Daylight savings in the Northwest is a glorious season, with sunsets teasing until after 9 in the evening. The light plays in the trees, accompanied by the rhythmic motor. I press my face into his leather jacket, nestling, savoring a rocking chair moment. Watching the trees fly by, pressing farther in, molding to his back, I wonder why it feels so right when I know it's all wrong. The date ends at my car. Before I can recite my too busy for a second date speech, he grabs me. My face is smothered in his chest. I can't breathe, but I like it.
Okay, I'm going to read chapter 8. I'm fairly new at this sobriety thing, but I've got some great chances that look doable as they never have before. And one of them is completing a college degree, which I'm getting close to. This is my 5th try at college, and there's a big chance that I can finish. And I should be concentrating on it and nothing else. With all the red flags that are thrown at me about this crazy redhead, I'm deeply falling for her. And, gee, what can I say? I want her to be part of my life. So we're going to an event that involves my AA friends. And lo and behold, my past slaps me in the face. And what's my first response? I lie. I lie. Chapter 8. Who is Anne? You know that moment at the top of the roller coaster when you want to change your mind, but it's too late? That's what it's like with Deb. I want to jump out of the cart and save myself from peril, but swoosh, down the track I sail, thrilled yet scared out of my mind. I'm used to gals that say and do predictable things. Deb slapped me around with wit and intelligence, making me work for her attention. I do wonder why I put up with her. She's like the Peanuts character Pigpen with the dust cloud. Exchange the dust for a blue haze of cigarette smoke. If I want her company, I must suck it up, accept her lethal shadow as one of her charms. At least the chronic coughing pauses her constant chattering. She spins a conversation into a four-wheel drift, pulls a slide job, then announces a pop quiz. I always flunk. Along with the habitual coughing and chattering, she wears a scowl like a sign that reads, "Don't even think about complaining." Of course, she expresses her beefs freely, insisting I keep AA and the God thing to myself. I'd gladly comply, but she non-stop asks questions about both. During one of her don't talk, tell all conversations, we discover that Deb's brother, Danny, and I went through treatment together in the summer of '86. I immediately regret blurting out, "He's a hot mess." She attacks. It's ugly. I stand listening while she argues in a circle, concluding the trial with a confession of her brother's guilt, a closing statement convicting me to save him, and redemption for herself as no alcoholic. I'm impressed and amused that by quietly standing in one spot, I survived. Mentioning now that I can't fix her brother would be like spending an extra night in the lion's den. Danny swears he has no use for AA and he's determined to find an easier, softer way to get sober. Good luck with that, Danny. Tonight I'm taking Deb to an AA birthday party. Maybe hanging around sober people, she'll see life can still be fun. I need to save what little cash I have for this weekend since my girls will be here. When Annette and Stephanie come to town, I'm off limits. They don't need extra mothering, and neither do I. They're highly capable after surviving 2 alcoholic parents. In past relationships, I disappeared. No need to explain myself. If I am upfront with Deb, she'll get it. Deb's dog barks when I pull in the driveway. Normally, he doesn't stir from his nap. I get that weird sense someone's watching as I knock on the door. It's probably nosy neighbors intrigued with the divorcee lifestyle. The party is Frank's 3-year sobriety birthday. He entered the program shortly after me. I work with him installing carpets, which brings in fast cash and suits my school schedule. I'm eager to introduce Deb to my friends. That is, until we walk into the den and there stands Anne. I panic, leaving Deb alone with the hungry lioness while I escape to the kitchen with the other lions. Anne is friends with Kim, Frank's girlfriend, but she never runs with this crowd and should not be here. The last thing I said to Anne was, "I have no time for a relationship." Here I am, caught red-handed, obviously involved with someone. My mind races through all possible ways out of this mess. I pretend to listen to Frank talk about tomorrow's job while honing for sounds of an uprising in the other room. The quiet concerns me. Breathing deeply, I brave entry to the den. Anne springs forward. "Hi, Sandy." I nod. It's the best I can do. All eyes are on me like fans waiting for me to fumble the ball. So like any good player, I pass. Kim, Deb. Oh, Kim, Deb lives right down the street from you. Have you met? Deb is seated in a chair off to the side, away from the others, huddled around Anne. Reading my help signal, Kim suggests we have a piece of cake, directing us to the kitchen. All smiles and full of grace, I relax, knowing Deb is unaware of the jagged fangs she escaped. After cake, we say goodbyes, exchange hugs, and pile into my pickup for the short drive home. In the driveway, after a hug, I share my plans. Nanette and Stephanie are with me this weekend. I won't see you. I never let my relationships interfere with my girls. She interrupts.
I have plans this weekend anyway.
Surprised and threatened by the abruptness of her vague plans, I wait for further explanation. Instead, she moves on to another subject.
Who is Anne?
What do you mean?
Is she someone you dated?
Dated?
Yes, dated.
She's just an AA acquaintance, I lied.
Really? Because I felt some weird vibes from her and her friends.
No, I don't know her that well. I lie again. Caught again. Okay, those are our 2 chapters for this weekend. Our book, In Spite of Us, a love story about second chances, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, your local bookstore, including Inklings. And we invite you to be here every week for the next whole bunch. And we will be reading the entire book for our fans out there. And as a last note, I'm our winner for the last 2 weeks. That drum roll is Frances Burgess.
So we'll be contacting her and getting her address and getting it mailed off to her. So one more thing, we have no idea whether we are actually live right now on Facebook. I'll check that as soon as I get off here and post this over to there if not. So see you next week, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.